guys, happy Labor Day. Justin Brock here, and I wanted to take a moment to discuss something that happened to me today that made me think about a topic that I've actually been wanting to cover for a while. So I was downstairs at our condominium and I was grilling some hamburgers, and there was a nice guy down there who started talking to me. Clearly had been drinking a little bit, but I was talking to him and I enjoy a good conversation. So quickly I find out he's a chiropractor, and he starts, talking to me about, chiropractors, and it takes him all of probably 2 minutes into the conversation to start telling me about how all the chiropractors I know are bad and they're not practicing the way they should be. They need to practice the way that he does. And this actually is a pretty common thing where chiropractors say this sort of thing to me all the time. I've noticed it with that field a lot more than some of the others. Chiropractors just tend to have that philosophy that it's their way or the highway. And actually we have 5 chiropractors in town, and they all do business very differently. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about, as an industry, how I think we need to try to avoid that. So the first thing is, of course, there are times where you have to cast doubt on the previous insurance agents' abilities, but really you only need to do that once you find out they did something that isn't the best for that client. So first of all, you don't want to just cast doubt right away. If you walked into somebody's house and they wanted a Medicare supplement, and the Medicare supplement they sold them was the best price, you could easily say, well, that's the best price, but that company's going to go up, or hey, that's the best company, but there's a cheaper rate. You can pretty much always find a way to convince them of something else. Or if they have a plan G, you can convince them to go to a plan N, or if they have a plan F, plan G, or plan G, plan F. You can always convince them of something else and why something else is better, and that's pretty easy to do. However, I think there's an appropriate way to do that when that's the case. And the first way that I would go about doing it is not by bashing the agent or saying that the agent is stupid or not inadequate, but not saying that the agent is inept or that they were intentionally doing something wrong. Sorry, the video got interrupted there by my daughter coming out to the balcony. And they were messing with me making a video. They always think I'm goofy when I'm doing this, but it's important and I want to get this topic out. So, like I was saying, there's a proper way to talk about another agent and how you could put somebody in a better place without bashing the old agent and making this client feel like there's a bunch of bad, crooked agents out there. A lot of the bad outlook on the insurance industry from consumers or insurance agents, in my opinion, comes from other agents portraying that. I had a client in a short-term major medical plan who had a large claim for his wife, who went into the hospital, ended up having COPD. They had a $32,000 hospital claim, and between National General and Manhattan Life, it eventually got paid, but along the process they were requesting medical records, etc., and there were other insurance agents that were constantly telling him that I needed to be doing more and that this was my responsibility and I was being a bad agent. And that's just, honestly bullshit. Like, there was nothing else that I was supposed to do or anything like that. And those agents probably knew that, but all they wanted to do was try to make him feel like it's the other agent's fault so that they might buy something from them next time because they're the good agent. And that's not the best way to do business. The best way to do business is to prove your worth by being a good individual, by being a good salesperson, without having to bash other people. Because if you always have to bash someone, first of all, there's not always going to be someone to bash. Sometimes the situation isn't related to another agent who was in the house. And if you go around and bash those agents all the time, that just creates an environment where consumers are already afraid of new agents. It's actually screwing up the ecosystem in which you operate as an agent right now. Because if other agents are doing that, then that's, that's the same crap. And if you don't think that if someone can come in after you and try to say the same thing, I mean, if you sold an MM policy and it was more expensive than Mutual of Omaha, they're going to come in and be like, well, he sold you a more expensive policy. He's a crappy bad agent. That's unethical. You should file a report of the DOI, whatever. There's all sorts of instances where people can do that. It's not the right thing to do to go in and try to tell somebody that they were royally screwed over by their old agent. Now, if you suspect that there was literal fraud committed or something really bad happened like that, that's an extenuating circumstance. But most of the time in these cases where I see agents saying this stuff, there's nothing really that wrong. And so that chiropractor story kind of reminded me of that, because he just instantly started telling me about how all the chiropractors I knew in town were bad. And I've even heard those chiropractors in town with us talk about each other bad. So as an industry, we need to avoid smearing other agents, because it really will come back to haunt us. Anyway, that's my Labor Day message. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. If you aren't a member of the Medicare Gurus community, please join it on Facebook and subscribe to the channel. Talk to you guys later.